Welcome to the Author's Corner with A.C. Campbell. Join us as we take a tour around the literary industry with interviews and features within and throughout the industry. And now, the show. Welcome to an all-new Author's Corner special edition. As always, I'm your host, A.C. Campbell. Today we're going to start the first in the series called Walking Testimonies. These are special editions of authors who have overcome so many things like abuse, disease, and so many other tragedies to where they come up and they live to write a book about it. And those who I call walking testimonies. And they're using their story to help you. Today we're going to have two very special testimonies. First, we're going to have future hard drive author T. Williams, who actually is going to have 3 books with hard drive. She's going to be talking about overcoming verbal abuse, which called self-esteem issues, and so many other things. So we're going to definitely learn from her, and we're going to also find out what a mental funeral is. I love that term, mental funerals. She'll talk all about it. Then we're going to talk to a friend of the Author's Corner, Alycia Morris. Alycia has been here a couple of times. She's an author, she's a model, she's a cancer survivor. She's going to talk about relationships, losing her mom, and curing cancer in the time of COVID. I mean, her testimony is just going to be awesome. So when we come back, we're going to start off with T. Williams.
Have you seen The Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell? It's the best show you're not watching. Every week we have authors, editors, artists, and others from various industries. There are 3 ways to watch Author's Corner, primarily on our YouTube channel, HD Television, on our HD Television Facebook page, and on our media page at www.hdcampbellmedia.com. It's the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. Check it out weekly, and as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. And God bless you.
Welcome back. If I could describe T. Williams in one word, it would be courage. Because she's not willing to lie down for anyone. Because of the fact that what she's overcome, verbal abuse, self-esteem issues, and so many other things you're about to learn about. Oh no, she's not about to be anybody's, doormat anymore. And for this, I mean, I can go on all day, but why don't I just give you the interview?
Since I've been a little girl, I've always wrote down very important events to me. Um, Even through my teenage years, I would always write just little poems here and there, just little things that happen. I keep a planner where I write everything in my planner, anything that happens throughout the day, um, just any and everything, so that if I ever have to go back and look at something, I can say, oh, okay, this happened on this date and at this time. What really inspired me to write was because I feel I have a story and I have many stories, but what puts it out there the most is when you go through things and we're told in our community that, you know, we sweep things under the rug, even those things that are bothering us, we sweep it under the rug. No one needs to know about that. If it didn't kill you, you're going to be okay. And that's not always the truth. There are a lot of people out here that are hurting, and we claim that because we're in church that no one should know that we're hurting, and I don't believe that's true. If something is hurting you, you need to let someone know what's going on so that you may be able to get the right help, the right counseling that you may need. A lot of times people tend to say, well, no, we don't want to do counseling. Oh, something is wrong. Something is wrong and we need to get it corrected. So me writing is going to tell my story, and I'm very transparent about my life. Either I did it or I didn't do it. Either I was there or I wasn't there.
Before we get into your story, I just want to make 2 points without actually getting off the subject, but I do want to just say this. Just make,
Okay.
number one, there's always the stigma that counseling in the black community is taboo. No, it's not. If
Mm-hmm.
you get it, it helps.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with anything to be ashamed about. Number two, we tend to use the church as a band-aid. We go, we listen to the message, we're great for like 24 hours. But unless we actually get to the root of the problem, talk to someone about it, talk to a pastor,
Mm-hmm.
talk to someone within the church,
Exactly.
we're just going in there, you get a cut, you get a band-aid, you don't actually put iodine on the cut, you just put a band-aid on it and the cut's still there.
That that is completely correct. We are taught to put band-aids on things, and it's not always the right thing to do. Sometimes we just need to listen, um, and we need to go from there. Oftentimes in our community, we are taught that band-aids are the best thing to do, and it's not always the best thing to do. If you ride a bike and you fall off that bike and you bruise your elbow, if you get back on that bike, you try it again and you fall again and you bruise yourself the same elbow, there is going to be a scar there. We're taught to put a band-aid on that, but instead of putting a band-aid, put some peroxide on it so the air can hit it so it can heal. But the more that you hit your elbow in that same spot, that scar is going to be there. Salt can be added to that scar, but it doesn't mean that it's not painful. It doesn't mean that it's not going to hurt. So we're taught in the society that whatever we go through, it should be pushed under the rug. And that's not the way to live life.
See, like I say, good point, very good point. So, I want to, before we get into your book, you do
Yes.
have a story to tell that you have healed from, and you're still healing, which is one of the things why I asked about the story. Just because
Hmm.
you go to counseling, just because you do get help, does not mean that you're going to be magically completely healed. You heal every day,
Exactly.
and so we go through steps to heal. So, but I'm going to stop babbling. And you have a story to tell. So,
Um, my story starts, I was 19. I met a gentleman. He was 17 and a half years my senior. Me thinking that I was young and vibrant at the time, and nobody's going to fall in love with this man. He was just someone to meet. Um, and it all went off of a bet with my cousin. She was more or less like, I bet that you can't get his number or he talks to you. And that was a $500 bet, and I won the bet. But what I didn't realize at the time that I was going to go through all these growing pains, things that I didn't understand, things that my mother did not teach me, that my great grandmother taught me how to be a woman. But I had to be a woman real quick because um, I met him August of 92. So by March, I was pregnant. And so I quickly became a mother. Um, but I thought this was an opportunity for me to be a mother all over again because I didn't get the opportunity. Um, When I decided to leave home, I applied for colleges, and I said the first college that accepted me, I was on the first thing smoking. And that's only because there were issues at home that I did not no longer want to deal with. I felt like the love was misguided. I was mistreated in a lot of things, but I just took that as this is just the way my life is. So as a teenager, you get out here and you meet an older man, you feel like that older man is going to take care of you, he's going to provide for you, he's going to do all these things that you've heard about. And needless to say, my life had just begun, and I had no idea for the whirlwind that I was going to be into. um I went through things that I feel no woman should ever have to go through. I went through the verbal abuse. I went through the name calling. I went through things that I felt like I was defeated. My self-esteem was so low that I figured there was nowhere to go. And at this time, my great grandmother had taken me to church. So I was raised in the church, raised in a Baptist church at that. And, I listened, but I was young. So at this point in time, I was not in anyone's church under no pastoral guidance. And what ended up happening, the impediments of this man, it shook the very core of my being. It made me feel like I was less than a woman. Everything that I wanted to do and tried to do you really think you need to do that? Why would you do that? It was almost like I needed his permission for certain things. Um, when our daughter was born in December of 93, at this point, let me back up a little bit. June of 93, my great grandmother died, and I was pregnant. I was so devastated. The only person I thought that really loved me beyond love had left me. So I was angry. I was disturbed. I was all those things wrapped into one, but I held my feelings on the inside. When it came time for me to have my daughter, I felt some type of way because my ex husband's mother, I never met her. I talked to her on the phone, but I never met her. And I felt like maybe I wasn't good enough to meet her. Maybe that's what he felt like. I had been with this man for 7 to 8 years before we got married. There were all kind of red flags that I did not pay attention to. The red flags that, if warned by the right person, you should have left this man alone. You should have had your daughter, left this man alone. But I stayed because I felt like if I go back home, it'll be more of what I left. So I endured it. And I endured it to the fact that I brought another child in the world for this man. But this was my doing. I wanted a boy and a girl. That has always been my dream. I've always wanted 4 kids. So at this point in time, if my other two had lived, I would have had 4 kids. I went through difficulties with dealing with my identity because it was shot. Anytime that I would put on something nice, I was always told, oh, so you're going to see your other man. But it was never like that. All I wanted was the security and being a wife and being a mother and holding my family together. Soon I started to lose myself. And I lost myself in a sense that I almost had a nervous breakdown. I went through a nervous breakdown, not completely, but the depression, the low self esteem, the agitated words, everything that would make a woman feel like she was nothing. And so I started to feel like I wasn't worthy of love. I started to feel like I wasn't worthy of much of anything. I knew for sure that my kids loved me, but I was very unsure of where I stood with my husband. There was infidelity there. Um, he cheated on me. I went out there. All I wanted was the love that I got out there, or so I thought I got out there, was the love I wanted from home. And he couldn't see past his infidelity to give me what I needed. I would have stayed. I would have done anything. Throughout the years, um, I was told that he had options, and I just happened to be one of his baby's mamas. Um, I was wife number three. Everything I believe that he went through those marriages, I kind of paid for it. I took the back end for it. There was a time in my life where my mother passed away, and it took me 10 long years to grieve her death. There was some wrong there. I forgave her, but I never forgot some of the things that she would say to me. My mother would sometimes say to me that I felt like I was better than anybody. I never thought I was better. I just knew I was different. I knew I was a different child. I knew that things came hard for me and people would make things hard for me. But the difference between me getting up and staying there, I was determined. I was never a quitter. So even through the chaos, um, I still wanted to be better than what my mother said I was. In some instances, there are things that I've done that my mother did that I said I didn't want to do, but I was pushed to do those things. Sometimes we have to understand that when you back a person up in a corner, they have nowhere else to go. So they have to fight their way out. So all of the psychological stuff, it messed with me for a while. When I say it messed with me for a while, I had to come to terms and grips with who I was. And I didn't always know that because I was in the middle of an identity crisis. I was trying to be that good wife. I was trying to be that side chick. I was trying to be that good mother. And it just didn't work for me. And I got tired. I got tired of doing the same old thing. And these are things that my mother did, but I kept quiet about it. So when it came time to really get myself together, there was um, an issue being in Atlanta. I loved being in Atlanta. I stayed in Atlanta for 15, 16 years. I loved it there. I didn't want to leave, but circumstances happened. I moved back to South Carolina in '01. Um, and what ended up happening, um, my husband at the time was bringing the U-Haul two days later. His plan was to leave the U-Haul and go back to Atlanta and leave me and the kids in South Carolina. We were living at my dad's house because my mom passed away in 2000, so we moved back in '02. Um, I looked at that in a sense that for the course of the time that I've been with this man for 25 years, this man left me 13 times. And each time it was my fault. And I took the blame for it. I did, honestly. I took the blame to my heart. And I asked him one day, what can I do to make this better? And he said, there's nothing you can do. I'm going to continue to do what I do. Still in point, I stayed. I stayed. I stayed an extra 13 years. So from the age of 19, 25 years with this man. I didn't come out of this until I was 40. So I've had to reinvent myself. I've had to say that, yes, I am worthy to be loved. Yes, I can give love. You would think that after all of that, you wouldn't have an ounce of love to give, correct? You would think that I should have been on drugs. I should have been out here doing just whatever. But that's not it, though. I went through a hard time with that. The only way that I could stop him from leaving me was for me to divorce him. And even in that, he was nasty about it. 8 months after I was divorced, in the midst of that, I did meet someone else. I met two people, but the other person and I became friends. But the guy that I did meet, I got married 8 months after I was divorced. The worst mistake in my life. I wasn't ready. I just didn't want to be by myself. I feel like making that mistake, it pushed me back. It took me back into just some things that psychologically you don't want to have to deal with. No, I haven't been on meds or anything as far as psychosis goes. My first marriage, yes, I was on Lexapro. And I can, like I said, I can be honest. I'm very transparent. I thought that I was literally going crazy because of everything that I was going through. I thought I was going to lose my mind. I went through an episode where I got amnesia and I like blanked out, didn't remember anything. Doctors called it a pen stroke. After I started to remember, I remember the reason why I got sick, and it's because we had had a bad argument, and it had been about us renewing our vows. And I remember him telling me that if I wanted to renew my vows, go renew them with someone else. That shook me. I have learned to be very independent. I have learned to decipher between love and like. This last marriage that I was in, it was a facade. I don't doubt that he didn't love me. I did love him, but he wasn't the man for me. He could not take care of me in a sense to where my mental, my physical, he couldn't do that. It was too much. Not to say I'm a loony bin. No, I'm not saying that. But the way that I think sometimes, it takes a strong man to deal with me. It takes a caring man to deal with me. For everything that I've been through, my book is going to help. It's going to help someone. If it doesn't help a lot, it's going to help someone. It's going to be to a point where you'll know exactly what you want now. And that's where I am. I know exactly what I want. And if that man cannot do that, we have nothing to discuss. I will be 49, life lasts, next month. That means that God has graced me to be on this earth and to go through things so I can help other people. When you think about, or when I think about all the tears that I've cried, all the tears that are bottled up, all the hatred I've ever felt, all the disillusion, I'm grateful that I still have a heart and that I still can love. It's not easy sometimes, but I have to put my best foot forward. Sometimes I feel like it's a curse and a blessing because this is the way that God made me. So I have to take it little by little, day by day. A lot of times we as women, we go through so much. And when things hit the fan and we just explode, where is this coming from all of a sudden? It's not all of a sudden, it's been a buildup. The only difference between men and women, we handle things differently. That's it. We're all human. We all have flaws. I'd be the first to say that I have flaws. Can someone love me past my flaws? If they tried, they could. If they wanted to, they could. They really could. But it depends on the individual. My story, like most, I've been molested, I've been raped. How do you come back from all of that? It's nothing but the grace of God. How people look at me, it doesn't even matter anymore. I'm so over people to where I only have one life to live. Only one. You don't get a second chance at life. You might get a second chance at being a father or a mother, but you don't get a second chance at life. And I have to embrace everything as it comes to me, whether it's good or bad. And I choose to take the good with the bad, and I choose to move forward. My problem has been that things that have happened, I couldn't let it go because I felt like, why did this have to happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? And it's not a point that you deserve it. Circumstances, it happens. It happens to the best of us. But what do you do with it? Because looking and being down, you only have one option. Look up. You can only go up from being down. And that's what I choose to do. So me writing is going to tell my story. Me putting this my book projects out there, it's going to tell. And my transparency, some would say, oh, you don't tell all your business. This is my business. I'm transparent. Now, the most intricate parts of my life, probably not. But what I can share, I can be transparent about it. And I'm opening to questions, answers. I'm open to all of that because I feel like in order for someone to understand you, they have to get to know you by your spirit. That's something that my apostle always says, get to know a person by their spirit. Because flesh, it does all kinds of things. But if we connect in the spirit, we can go somewhere. I finally figured out that I don't need a whole lot of people around me. Nah, that was my problem too. I felt like I needed people around me. I've learned to be by myself. And guess what? I'm getting more accomplished now being by myself than I did when I was around a room full of people. And in that room, half of those people didn't like me. But I love me. I love the woman that I have become. And I know that, yeah, this might sound strange, but I'm somebody's wife. And I'm probably going to have husband number 3, but that's fine with me. That's fine with me because now I'm ready. I learned those hard pills to swallow. I've swallowed every last one. And in my very core, my flaws are what makes me who I am. So a person needs to understand that if they're going to deal with me, my imperfections are what make me perfect in the eyesight of God. God has truly given me beauty for ashes. And I tell him thank you for that, because if it had not been for God, I know definitely my children wouldn't have had a mother. I would have been 6 feet under. And there's nothing that could soothe that for loved ones. So I'm grateful. So with everything that I have, yeah, I'm going to put it to work. And I know my books are going to sell, and I'm looking forward to it. For once in my life, I'm looking forward to just what God is about to do. I decided that I was going for, some people might look at me and be like, you want to drive a big truck? Yeah, I want to drive a big truck. I'm going for my CDL, and I'm going to get it. And these business ventures that I want, I'm going to have it. I'm going to have all of that and then some.
I'm just gonna say this, and then I'm gonna switch gears for a minute. One of my
Okay.
favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite lines from that movie
Hmm.
describes the best. I'm still here. You
Yeah.
remember the scene where Celie went out and he's about to hit her again, and she did, you black and all that stuff. I may be black, I may be all that,
But
but
I'm
I'm
still here. Yes. Yes. And I'm grateful. Even through COVID, I'm still here.
you see my whole thing with that is you are a powerful testimony to say, hey, you world, give me what you got. I took it all. I've seen it all. I'm ready to move on.
Exactly. Exactly. I have, matter of fact, I did well, I didn't just meet the person. We've been friends, but we decided to start dating, and he has been a true inspiration to me, a push in the right direction. And I am grateful for him. I am grateful. At first I was like, no, we can't talk. Let's just be friends. And he was like, no, I don't see you as my friend anymore. And I'm like, sometimes God can put happiness in front of you, and you're so busy looking for something else so you don't notice that it's right there. I'm grateful.
See,
He is a big influence. He really is. He's a big influence.
I'm very seldom tell people like what they need, but you actually needed that someone to get on your nerves to say, hey, you do matter. I don't care what you say. I'm your man. You matter, and you matter to me. Your kids matter to me, and that's all. And that's all
Yeah.
to me. And that's what God has said to me.
It took it took me to go through those 25 years. I think we had maybe 2 years together, and the other 23 were just dogmatic. They were horrible. Once I got out of it, the day that I went to my divorce hearing, and the next morning when God woke me up, I was tearing up, crying tears of joy, because I didn't have to worry about if I came home late, I would be accused of cheating. If a man said hi to me, I had slept with them. Don't get me wrong now. Don't get me wrong. After he did what he did, it pushed me out there. I'm not even going to lie to you. But I got tired. Here I am giving myself to another man and asking myself why. Going home feeling empty because there's nothing there. It's almost like being a piece of meat you toyed with, and now I'm going to throw you away. That's all that is. I wanted better for myself. And I thought being married again would be that. It wasn't. It wasn't that. There were so many things there that I felt like it wasn't right. Um, the cooperation. You can tell me you love me all day, but let's get this done. Let's do what we need to do. Let's make things better. It was always an excuse. And I got tired being the man and the woman. I needed a break. I felt like I was being defeated all over again, but then I woke up one morning and I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I developed back problems. I had knee problems. I was going under the knife because I was so stressed out. Stress was about to take my body over. And my doctor said to me, either you get rid of the stress or it's going to get rid of you. So I got rid of the stress. For 2 years, I couldn't be in high heels or anything. December 26th of 2019, by the time Valentine's Day came, February 2020, I was in a pair of heels. And I've been wearing heels ever since then. So for the last 2 years of my life, I've been shown so many different aspects of I can finally breathe and be the woman. I don't have to be the man now. I'm good. Yeah, we have our ups and downs, but it's 2,000% better than my first marriage, and it's 2,000% better than my second marriage. And I count it all joy because when people look at me and say, well, Tina, how old are you? I'm about to be 49. Nah, you're not 49. Yes, I am. I don't look like what I've been through. And that's nothing mere of God's grace and mercy for my life. Because I look at women my age and they look like they 60. I was like, did you not look in the mirror? Did you not think that, you can help some of this? You can do something with this. You can better yourself. 2 days ago, I was feeling so depressed. I was just in a rut and felt like I couldn't get out. But I woke up this morning with purpose that I will not go back to that. Everything that has happened to me, it is now in my past. That was my problem. I was holding on to everything that everybody else did to me, not seeing that I've overcome it because it was a testimony for me. So I'm an overcomer. I've conquered that. I've been there. I don't have to go back through that. So I woke up this morning with purpose and I said, okay, God, here I am, an upcoming author. I can't be depressed. I can't be suppressed. I can't be any of those things. I have to have mental stability at all times in order for me to get through these 3 projects that I have going on. That's why I'm able to sit here and talk to you and tell my story, because my transparency doesn't take anything away from me being a woman. A lot of people don't want to be honest about where they are. I sat in church one day wondering why I was there. What was my purpose for being there? Why am I even going back to church? What's in it for me? And it's not about the building. It's about the connection and the relationship with God. Many would look at me now and think that, oh, she don't even go to church regularly. I've been on the truck. I've been on the truck. I've been on the truck for a month straight. I came off the truck. So I am going to attend church services on Sunday. I'm going to walk in there and hold my head up high. And I belong there just like anybody else. Because you know what? I desire to have the word from God. The Bible tells me that we all have fallen short of the glory of God. Sin covers a multitude of sins. It didn't say how many, a multitude. We can't even count a multitude. So if God is covering and shielding, I've got somebody in my corner. He still saw fit to blow breath in my body this morning. And I woke up telling him, thank you, because I'm grateful to be amongst the living and not the dead. Yeah, I might have lost a lot, but I'm about to gain a whole lot. And I have to think that way because the negativity no longer abounds me anymore. I can't be around anything negative. I know what it does to me. So if you know that you're a crackhead and you're recovering, why would you go around people that are smoking crack? Those things I had to pull myself away from. I was talking this morning and I told him, I said, there are some groups that I was in. These groups were making me feel like these things were happening to me in my current relationship, and they're not. So I had to come out of those relationships, and I had to think, okay, if they have all this negativity, I'm bringing this negativity to him, and that's not where we are. So I have to stop. I have to pull myself out of the equation because I want better. Just because somebody's going through something doesn't mean you have to go through the same thing. We're all different. I understand that I'm different. I'm going to be different till the day I die. So, what someone else does, I'm probably going to do it differently. The way that I dress is totally different from other people. What they think doesn't look good, if it looks good to me, I'm good. So, you have to pick your battles. And some of these battles, God has to work it out. And I've had to learn that over a course of
And
time.
I'm about to tell you, that's only part one. I mean, no, the interview went a lot more longer than that. So next week, part two, you're gonna learn more about how you're gonna get to know her, things like that. I mean, it's just gonna be so many other things you're gonna get to learn. So stay tuned for that next week. Next, we're gonna have a chat with our good friend Alycia Morris. Stay tuned.
You know, even after 20 years, readers are still captivated with How to Lose a Black Woman. Now, in its second printing, follow the story of Bruce Williams. Shall I say, mild-mannered school teacher in search of love? Using social media, prayer, and a lot of trial and error, Bruce fights to learn what a true relationship is all about. Filled with original poetry by H.D. Campbell, it's a lesson from one young man's point of view. Buy How to Lose a Black Woman on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, in your favorite bookstore, and even on his website at www.hdcampbell3.com. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. Just who is author H.D. Campbell? He's the multi-gene author who can take you on several trips at once. With H.D. Campbell, you can have a romance, you can track a killer, or even stop an international incident. For 30 years and still writing, H.D. Campbell will take you on trips you've never been before. Learn more about him by logging on to hdcampbell3.com or check him out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. Read his rewrites of How to Lose a Black Woman and Late Murder at 10, with a new title coming soon. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit.
What can I say about Alycia? Beautiful, strong, don't take guff from nobody, and I'm telling you right now, if you trying to date her, you better hang on tight and better not be trying to cheat her. Well, cheat her. I'm just warning ya because she ain't having it. But we're also going to talk about her surviving cancer during the time of COVID and how she did it, the modeling, the books. Here's the interview.
Well, we're just gonna pick up where we left off. So okay. I had a hysterectomy, and I had wrote the book Finding Love After Breast Cancer. I was dating someone. I really thought that was the one. Like, when you have that, you're like, oh, this is it. This is God finally sent me the one that I've been asking for. And 2020 comes around. Yeah, everybody's dealing with the pandemic. I was finally able to move back home to Texas, and I found out literally a year after, 1 year, it was our anniversary, and 1 year after, I found out he had been cheating on me for the entire year.
Right.
So found out he had been cheating on me for a whole year, and I was distraught. I was just like, this really cannot be happening to me. So, we tried to work it out. In the midst of us trying to work it out, I had found another lump underneath my arm. And I thought it was just, I had been working a lot because pandemic, I was working like 60 plus hours a week. And so I was like, oh, I probably just pulled a muscle or something, it's not nothing too bad. Well, it kept getting bigger. And it's like, it got to the point I couldn't even put my arm down. And I was like, what the heck? So of course it's the pandemic, and it's so hard to get a doctor's appointment just for anything. If you didn't have COVID, they weren't trying to see you. They was like, nope, you're gonna have to deal with that on your own. And I was just like, okay. So I finally was able to get into an oncologist in like July, like the end of July. And she's like, yeah, I want you to come in. We're gonna look at it, and I'll be able to let you know. So I go to her at the end of July. And of course, here we go again. Got to do the mammogram. Got to do an ultrasound. Got to do a biopsy. Like, it's the whole process all over again. I'm scared shitless because I'm like, I know this is not what I think it is. And I went on vacation, trying to clear my head. I was like, you know what? We're not gonna stress on it. Went to Florida, hung out with my sorors and my frat brothers. We kicking it. And while I'm in Florida, my mom passes away. So I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? So I'm trying to rush back to Texas, get everything taken care of with my kids. She was in Oklahoma. So we're trying to figure out like a date because of COVID. Not a lot of people can come. What are we going to do? Now, mind you, still in the back of my head is all the other stuff I got going on with my health. Right. So I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do here? And so I was just like, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about it right now. I'll just have to deal with that on a different day. And literally the morning of my mom's funeral, the doctor's office calls me. And they're like, hey, we need you to come into the office on Tuesday. I already knew then what it was. When they tell you got to come into the office and they can't tell you over the phone, right. I already knew what it was. So I was like, I'm looking at my sisters and they like, what? And I was like, we're not even going to talk about it. A lot of people don't know that unless they were with me or unless they've read my book. I state that, the morning of her funeral, I got a call from the doctor's office. And lo and behold, 4 days after my mom's funeral, I was told that my breast cancer had came back. Mm. So now I'm just kind of like, what do I do? So it wasn't more or less like the first time I got diagnosed, I was kind of still in the dark. I was kind of like, oh, what do I do? Or what's going on? Just trying to get knowledge of everything. So now this time around, I'm just mad because it's just the fact, come to find out, when I got my left breast removed in 2016, they basically didn't get it all. And they left one of the lumps. And so that's what caused my cancer to come back. So now it's 2020, pandemic, COVID. I got to battle breast cancer for a second time. I got to do chemotherapy. I got to do another surgery. I got to do radiation. And I'm just like, I'm not prepared for this right now. And I literally was not prepared mentally after having my heart broke, losing my mom. It was a lot. Like, it's a lot of stuff that went on with me, myself, in 2020 that a lot of people really don't know about. But that is where Fuck Cancer, Fuck Love came from. That is where the title comes from. And I got a little bit of backlash off of it because a lot of people were like, oh, you're a lady. you're not supposed to be talking like that and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, baby, if you knew what I've been through this past year, you'd be using a whole lot more words than just fuck.
believe me, even before knowing your story, the story about your breakup, I understood. So I'm not, I wasn't even sure.
Like a lot of people don't understand, like you never know what somebody is really going through, the reason why they come up with the titles that they come up with. And when people finally started reading my book and they were just like, oh my God, I didn't know you were going through all of that. No, you didn't, because I was still going to work with a smile on my face. I was still hanging out with friends. I was still hanging out with my sisters. You know, I'm still doing these photo shoots. I'm still, you know, doing these fashion shows, and nobody has any clue what is going on with me behind closed doors, because I'm trying to just keep up the appearance and keep up the front. And so it finally, you know, things start looking up somewhat. You know, I had the surgery and they're like, oh, you're good, we got it all. And then they were like, okay, we want you to do radiation. No, I didn't do radiation the first time because my oncologist said it didn't look like I needed it. So I was like, okay, like I said, the first time I wasn't knowledgeable, didn't really know what was going on. So this time, you know, I'm asking 50,000 questions like, well, what's the purpose? Is it gonna work? Am I gonna have to do it again? What's gonna happen?
So get it all this time.
Yeah, like we're trying to make sure. I'm like, I'm not trying to do this again with y'all. This is too much. Right. So I do radiation, and a lot of people don't know radiation is literally like sitting outside in 110-degree weather, no sunscreen, and the sun is literally beaming down on you, and you're out there for like 8 hours.
Oh.
So you are literally getting a second and third degree burn put on your body. And that is so it can kill the cancer cells that are in that area. And so after my treatment, like I had a huge, like my entire left chest wall was burnt, like peeling the whole nine. So I get through that. And mind you, I am still trying to work. I'm a supervisor at my job, so I have to do a lot. And my job had been working with me, you know, from day one. She was like, what do you need from me? You know, you let me know your schedule, I'll work with you. Great. You know, everybody needs a manager that is compassionate about what is going on in your life. However, my job is very strenuous. Like, I don't just walk around with a clipboard and tell people what to do. You know, I still had to do stuff myself. I was doing a lot of heavy lifting, you know, stretching, pulling, you know, long hours. And I wasn't paying attention to my body talking to me, letting me know that I needed to chill out a little bit. You know, I just kept pushing myself. And I literally, I had a mental breakdown at work. That's how far it had got. And people don't understand with dealing with any type of disease, cancer, you don't know what people are battling. And I was having to battle with stuff physically and mentally and emotionally, because I never really grieved when my mom passed because I was so worried about my health. You know, it's like it was funeral, okay, and then, oh, okay, now I got to go get my port put back in my chest and deal with cancer stuff. You know, grieving had to get put on the back burner. And so with the 1 year anniversary that came around this year, it just all hit me all at one time. Like everything was just like, and I was just like, oh my God. And I literally, like, you know how you sit down sometimes, you know, you've been drinking and you sit down and you just stuck and you like, I really don't know what to do. And that's where I was. I didn't know what I was going to do. Work-wise, I was really fed up with my health. Like, I was just really over it. Like, I was really just say, F all of it. Like, I don't care. Like, don't stick me with another needle. I'm not doing no more. Like, I was done. And so, I had to go see a therapist. I'm currently in therapy, working through it all. I am on a leave of absence from work right now. I don't go back to work until the middle of November, just to kind of try to see where my health is going and try to figure out some things that are going on. But it's a process. And I tell people, everybody's like, oh, breast cancer awareness, pink, 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 and wear this and wear that. And I'm like, the biggest thing that you can honestly do during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, if you know somebody that is battling, if you know someone that has lost someone, ask them how they're doing. Like, just take the time and have a conversation with them, because that right there means way more than you wearing a pink t-shirt and a pink hat. And hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for you supporting, but what are you really doing? And I know plenty of people know enough people that have been affected by breast cancer that just ask somebody how they're doing, how they've been doing, like what else is it that somebody can do for them. And it's never, sometimes it's not even materialistic. Sometimes people just need somebody to talk to, or they need somebody to cry to, or just point them in the right direction of, they might be looking for a certain doctor or whatever it may be. Just be of help. That is the biggest thing that people can do this time of month when it comes to breast cancer.
See, and also too, in the midst of all of it, you were going through this during the time of COVID. Which, how were you actually able to, I guess, navigate through that?
It was a process, because it was totally different than the first time when I battled breast cancer, because you were able to take people with you to the doctor. You were able to bring people with you to chemo, so you could really feel the support that you had. And now with COVID going on, you can't take anybody to the doctor's office with you unless you are just like medically incapacitated. Like, you have to have assistance. You can't have anybody with you at chemotherapy. You have to do it all by yourself. You've got to wear your mask. You got to be hand sanitized. I'm vaccinated. Like, my oncologist was like, you've got to get vaccinated. She was like, your immune system is completely compromised. She was like, you can catch pneumonia, the flu, COVID, anything that's out there. I had to be very precautious when it came to doing things. I keep hand sanitizer on me, and I kept my mask on the whole time. And so it was very different. But I still had my support system. My support system was still calling or coming by after chemotherapy days, like, hey, what do you need? Don't worry about cooking. We got food today. Don't trip. We're gonna take care of it. So I was still able to have a very well-knit support system to help me through the process. But for some people who it's their first time, you really want somebody to hold your hand, like, seriously. And so I think it was really hard for some people. But like I said, this was my second go around, so I guess I was kind of blessed.
Exactly. And so before I move on, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but you had support in the, I want to talk about fuck love for a second. You had support in the form of a good relationship. What exactly happened? I mean, you don't have to answer that, but.
Oh no, I'm gonna answer. So I'm dealing with relationships, and everybody knows, you all feel like, when you go through that talking stage and you're really getting to know somebody, and then you get into the relationship and you're like, oh God, yes, we're just perfectly yoked and everything. And I'm a firm believer in your gut instinct. And I had a gut feeling something wasn't right. you know, and you ask certain questions or certain things, and my spirit is definitely aligned with the ancestors and the universe. So they talk to me, and you know, it would be times I'd be like, something ain't right. I don't like this. And you know, he just, oh, ain't nothing going on. You know, everything's good. We're good. Now, mind you, she didn't know about me. I didn't know about her. This was the whole thing. But I don't like mess, number one. If you're going to be real with me, just come to me, open up your mouth and say, hey, look, it's something I need to tell you. All right, let's talk. But please don't have them, her, we, she in my inbox on Facebook and Instagram asking me questions about you. So that is initially what happened. You know, if anybody had ever seen my Facebook or social media, we were together on social media. Like, we would take pictures together. We were all over social media together. And it got to a point where I wasn't able to tag him in the photos anymore. And everybody knows on Facebook, you can turn your tag off. Right. So don't nobody tag you and stuff. So I would tell him, like, you know what, I tried to tag you in something and it wouldn't let me tag you. And he'd be like, I don't even know why, you know, somebody else told me you was doing that. Okay. Well, I was still tagging him and stuff on Instagram. And she saw our Valentine's Day post on Instagram. And so I guess she had confronted him about it. Like I said, that was February. She didn't say anything to me until April. So she came to me and was like, hey, are you dating such and such? And I was like, are you dating such and such? And then she was like, actually, I am. We've been together for 3 years. Oh, wait.
They were together for 3 years?
They had broken up. And he had never told her that he was in a relationship with somebody else. So they were still conversating, you know, still talking. And in her eyes, and I'm a woman, I would think the same thing. In her eyes, they were working on their relationship because he hadn't just cut her off all the way. She would still pick him up and take him to work. Sometimes she would pick him up from work and take him home, or pick him up and take him to the train station. So he's still seeing her. He's still talking to her, whatever the case may be. So to me, as a woman, I'd be like, okay, yeah, we might not be together, but we working on a relationship. But he never once told her that he was in a relationship with somebody else. So when it all came out, it was just a mess. It was a big mess. And I told him, I said, you know what? I'm a good person and I believe in karma. I said, but I could really air you out right now on social media. I said, and it would be the worst thing ever. I was like, because you didn't have to do this to me. I was like, it just made no sense. And the young lady, you know, he said the reason why he didn't tell her is because he didn't want to hurt her feelings.
Okay, I need to say something really quick to read up because this is crazy. Not once did he think in his head, as much as I like you, you don't need any extra stress. So why am I giving you extra stress? You already going through the cancer, the chemo, your mother just died, all this going on. And here I am about to add some extra stress because I already got a woman trying to talk to you. Or somebody trying to talk to you. I think that, to me, that's sick because
to me, I said it was selfish. I told him, I said, you are, and this is, you know, this is times we had many of disagreements on, because I was like, you like to be around a lot of women. Like, you love the attention that you get from women, but you forget about the one person that is trying to be here for you forever. The one person is trying to be here for you through the long run. Like, you would rather just push her to the side to continue to get all the other attention from the other women. And so it's crazy though, because even after I found out everything, we tried to work it out. I was like, look here, if we're gonna do this, because he, of course, when people get caught, they give you all the excuses. He said it was my fault because he couldn't talk to me. He was like, I can talk to her, and she listens to me, and she doesn't like treat me like half the time when you talk to me, you try to act like my mom and da da da. And I was like, okay, let me work on that then. If you see that that's a problem, and maybe we can work through this relationship. And I did, like HD, I did. But it was the point of, like they say, you can forgive somebody, but you can't never forget how they treated you. And so it just got to the point where I couldn't stand the sound of his voice. Like, I didn't want to see your face. Don't call me. Just leave me alone. And so it was a year in September that I've actually been single. Like, I've been single since September of 2020, when I finally just told him, look, this is never going to work. I said, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. We're going to be sitting around one day, and I'm going to have a flashback. I said, and I'm going to knock you upside your damn head. I said, and you going to be like, why you hit me? And I'm going to be like, remember that shit you did? I was like, so it's in our best interest that we don't be together. I said, because I don't want to be an abuser, and I don't want you to be in an abusive relationship. So we're just going to cut ties.
I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on. I don't know what he's talking about. Now, I've known you for years. I mean, we're not close, but I think I've known you enough to know your personality. You're a very approachable person. You're a nice person. That whole big thing about I can't talk to you and I think that's sort of more in his mind than, or better yet, I think that's his excuse to want to go and do what he wanted to do anyway. So
yeah, and you know what? It's been crazy. Like, since then, we're cordial now because we work in the same industry, because he has a clothing line and I'm a model. And so we do have to see each other from time to time. But I've grown, as a woman, and I've healed to the point where I can speak to you. I can, we can have a conversation. I don't bring up the past. You don't bring up the past. And that's just where we're going to leave it. Like, we talk business, and that's about it. There's nothing more or less. He knows that, hey, never in life, not if you were the last man on earth, sir, not going to happen. So I just suggest you live your life and let me live mine. And that's what we do. We're adults. And so this is what you have to do. Like, I can't ignore you. You can't ignore me, when it comes time for events and stuff. So we make the best of it, and I just, like I said, it was an experience that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. But it's also the fact of, like, you know what, I will never, I tread lightly now when it comes to talking to someone and just really opening up my heart. Like, that's gonna be a real test. Whoever gets the I love you from me, like, now, like, bro, you had to work for that, and you gonna know it.
I understand that. Oh, trust me. I definitely understand that. All right, I want to switch gears. Actually, you switched gears already with the modeling. Tell me, I've got to say it before I ask you about it. I've seen your modeling pictures. Oh my God. No wonder you got guys just, I mean, it's the body positivity. I love that. Explain to me about the modeling and what's going on with that.
So modeling, actually, my mom put me in modeling school when I was in 13, because I was such a tomboy. And my mom was like, oh no, we got to break this. Like, I need you to get out the trees. I need you to stay from the creek. Like, what are we going to do? So she enrolled me in John Casablanca Modeling School here in Dallas, Texas. And it was a culture shock for me because at the time, I'm chocolate, I'm 5'2". I wasn't even 5'3" yet. I was still probably 5'2". I wore glasses. I was thick in the hips. Nothing that you saw during the 90s that would have said a model, point blank, period. So I'm learning all the technique stuff, learning the walk, learning the poses, learning the etiquette when you're out, when you're at events, how you're supposed to act, things you're supposed to do, photo shoot etiquette. I learned all of that in high school. Well, even once I got out of high school, I still was like, I'm not doing this. This is not for me. I'm not modeling. Well, 2015 came around, and a friend of mine, he's starting to get into photography. And he's like, hey, Alycia, do you have any headshots for your books? So this is when my books had probably just started coming out. And I was like, you know what? I don't have any headshots. He's like, well, let me practice, let's do some headshots. And, you can keep them for free. So I was like, all right, cool. So, we do a little photo shoot. And he's like, have you modeled before? And I'm like, nah. I was like, I just went to school for it, but I never utilized it. So the pictures go out. Everybody's going crazy. 2018, I get asked to be in a fashion show, which was a breast cancer awareness fashion show. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll come support. I'm all for it. So I go to the fashion show, and it just took off. Like, literally. Like, how Roadrunner's legs go? It was literally like that, like, let's go. So from 2018 up until now, to 2021, it's been everything. And I give all my photographers, all my designers, I'll give them a disclaimer. Like, hey, look, I got one booth. Like, it's some stuff I can't wear, and there's some stuff I don't feel comfortable with. So you have to be able to, can you work with me on that? Some designers don't want to work with you, because it's their design and it's made to go for a certain shape. I don't fit that shape, but that's okay. I don't get disheartened about it. Well, not anymore. I did in the beginning because it did used to be an issue. But like I said, I'm stronger. I'm more in tune with myself now, and I know what I can do and what I can't do. And so that is why my specifics is magazine modeling, because I can do a photo shoot and I can fix this. We can make it look good in a picture other than walking down a runway, and I can't keep pulling and tugging at a designer's clothes when I'm walking down the runway, because that's their masterpiece. That's what you're supposed to be showing off. So it's amazing. I have people that reach out to me for things, they're like, hey, I got this shoot coming up. I got these designs. I want you to be a part of it. I just recently did my first lingerie shoot ever. And the girl, she's a friend of mine. We're really close. And she's like, no. She's like, you're about to break the barrier when it comes to breast cancer and having a one-sided mastectomy and being able to wear lingerie and still look good in it. And that is like the biggest confidence booster somebody like me could get. And it was a slam. Like, the photo shoot was amazing. Pictures are about to be in another magazine. So it is just, it's the point of, you have to build your confidence on your own level. Somebody can't build that confidence for you. And that was my biggest issue in the beginning, was finding my confidence builder with the modeling. Like I said, I can get in front of the camera and do whatever you want me to do. But when it came to walking down a runway, and like I said, designers are just like, no, you don't get picked, because you have to do casting calls for fashion shows. And, you don't get picked, and, you feel some kind of way. And, for me, I used to feel like, oh, it's because I only got one breast, or whatever the case may be. But then there are people out there who would pick me and say, no, I want you to rock it. I want you to wear it because I know your story, and I know everything that you've gone through. So I got something for you. And they would have designs to where I could wear my bra that's got my prosthesis in it, and it still makes the look what they want it to look like. And so, yeah, it's different. I love it. It's amazing. It brings so many opportunities to me on a daily basis. So it's great. I love it. It's I use modeling for networking for my books, but it's like now it has its own platform. So it's like I have the author platform, I have a modeling platform now. And it's like we put them together when we can. If not, we keep them separated. So it's a great thing.
Not to sound like a broken record, but I'm sorry. When you have good conversation like I had with T earlier, oh my God, these interviews run like forever. So I'm trying to tell you, part two, Alicia's part two is also next week. So next week, we're going to have both T. Williams and Alycia coming up next week. So stay tuned for the conclusions of those interviews. And at the conclusion of Alicia's interview, we're going to talk about how you're going to get to know her. She's going to give you a bit of wisdom, basically, how to actually stay healthy at the time of COVID. We'll be right back with HD's 2 cents. I know normally we talk about books and different things during my 2 cent segment, but today I wanted to go into something serious. Today we lost a great man, Colin Powell, to they say it was complications of COVID. Um, and I'm just here to say, you don't have to take my word for it, but please get vaccinated. Now, news will tell you he was fully vaccinated, but let me tell you a few facts about vaccinations. We're still learning about COVID. The vaccination will help you. When we hear about people dying after they've been vaccinated, they're dying from other underlying conditions. Colin Powell had cancer. He had blood cancer that got into his system. Basically, other things compromise his immune system, which allow COVID to come back in. So what I'm saying is, and like I told you guys during the Alycia interview, the vaccine does not make you Superman. You still have to wear a mask. You still have to practice social distancing. You have to do everything you can until this is over. Stay tuned for a blog that I'll be doing next week about the mandate, because I kind of don't agree fully with the mandate, but that's for another show. Stay tuned next week. We're going to have part 2 of our Walking Testimony series with both T and Alycia. Peace, and as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. And God bless you.